deployed in November of 2003 for a 12-month deployment. We saw some action around Samara, and then moved north to Mosul, where we assumed control of some battle space. Our battalion took over for what had been a little over a brigade sized footprint. Spring started coming. It's when the insurgency started kind of kicking up. We saw our first IEDs, started having to provide additional escorts for the engineers. And then the day I got hurt, actually it was a pretty quiet day. You know, the XO had gone on leave. I had just given up my platoon and they were letting me fill in as an XO. You know, it started off with an ambush of a supply convoy, and then it just sort of blew up from there. And my whole company plus was out fighting when we were being reinforced by the other companies in the battalion. And you know, I mean, there were some guys on the ground that were under fire. We moved my Stryker to block them. I dropped down inside the vehicle to change the radio frequency. And right as soon as I finished with the radio call, I reached up to grab my sniper's belt so I could get back in the hatch, and that's when the rocket came through. You know, I was out for probably 30 seconds or something like that. And then I woke up and I couldn't breathe, and my armor was smoking. You know, I opened it up, and that was when things started falling out, and I was like, oh crap, this is bad. And you know, and I remember the ride all the way back to the cache. You know, my crew absolutely saved my life. If it hadn't been for them, I mean, my Stryker had been hit, you know, and they still used it to evacuate me. So when I came to, my ribs had been broken all up the left side, and there were chunks missing. I lost a little bit of the bottom of my left lung, my spleen, a goodly portion of my intestines, small intestine and colon. I had nerve damage in my left arm and right leg. Ended up, because of all the nerve damage, I ended up with a clawfoot hammer toe. I had to have my foot reconstructed. I had some infections that I dealt with. I had colostomy bags for quite a while. Those came out several months later, which brought along another whole host of complications. You know, at first I didn't see any way out. This was it. You know, I was going to be like this for the rest of forever. I could barely walk. My wife had to help me use the bathroom, clean up my colostomy bags. Couldn't shave. All the things that make you a soldier I couldn't do. I hurt all the time. I mean, God, the pain was just terrible. I mean, it was just dark. No way out. And you know, I got real close to doing something stupid, and I don't really know, it just didn't. My wife never really let me sulk. My troops didn't let me sulk. They would come by, you know, my soldiers brought me, the lieutenants in my company got together and bought me a Stetson, you know, because I'm a cavalry guy, you know, even though I was in an infantry formation. I mean, nobody ever let me quit. At one point I remember, you know, my wife and I were fighting over pizza or something stupid because I was, you know, just so out of it, and she just basically told me to get my crap together. You know, this is not, you know, I need to get in gear, and you know, I did. I think that was a huge turning point for me. And then it was just about getting better and getting back to active duty. You know, I mean, to me, I identified myself so much by how good I was at being in the Army. I mean, I loved it. My leaders never cast me aside. I was never forgotten. But they continued to develop me, you know? I mean, there was, at every point along the way, there was a chance that I would be boarded out. But no one ever treated me that way, you know? I needed to be a primary staff officer, they made me a primary staff officer. I needed to have XO time, I had XO time. And then when I got picked up for grad school, they made sure I went home and did it. It was really, as we got ramped up for my third deployment, that I think I overestimated how well I'd healed. PTSD could have taken me out of the fight. I gambled by not getting help sooner. And what happened was I was taking all these issues and I was progressively putting them into a sort of a room in my mind, you know? It was, you know, I just kept throwing it into this room and just, you know, and congratulating myself on how good I was at compartmentalizing. You know, all just started coming apart, and I started having problems sleeping, very, very crabby, was drinking a lot, and I had a major breakdown on the highway. Driving home, it just came out of nowhere. I could smell Iraq, I could taste Iraq. I mean, it was not even a hot day, but it felt like a hot day. Sweating everywhere, couldn't breathe. I could hear my soldiers yelling at me. I mean, absolutely freaked out. And you know, then I was afraid to talk to my buddies about it, and finally, you know, I finally did. And they were like, "Well, geez, Damon, I mean, look at what happened to you. You know, it's of course you could have these problems. I mean, it's completely normal." And I started thinking about it. I was like, "Yeah, you're right, it is." And I talked to the doctors. I told them my concerns about the medications. They started me off. And then we played with it. You know, we went up a little bit, went down a little bit, up a little bit, and my doctor calibrated. I mean, he worked very hard to find the right dosage for me, and it took a year before we found the right dosage, but we did. And you know, I complied. That's the key. I went to all my counseling. I took the medicines as I was directed to by my doctor. I reported back how I felt about the medicines. My wife made comments in about how they were affecting me. I mean, you just have to comply. You can't go to the doctor, get a bottle of pills and a bunch of refills and say, "Hey, good, I'm great." It doesn't work that way. Look, the medication doesn't make you numb if it's calibrated correctly. I mean, what it does is it gives you a half a second between the stimulus and your response. And that half a second is all you need to be like, "Oh, wait," you know? Because otherwise, you know, the breakdown between your sort of animal part of your brain and your frontal lobe is complete. And the medicine it just gives you a pause. You know, I didn't mention that I had PTSD for a while to people. And if I did, I always caveated it with first my injuries. I felt like I had to justify it, but I don't feel that way anymore. You know, it's like it's a wound in the same sense that I have the physical wounds that I carry. It just is part of who I am. It takes a tremendous amount of strength, and there's a difference between the person who says, "I have a problem, I want out," and the person who says, "I have a problem, I want to be better so I can stay." Untreated PTSD makes you a liability. But the truth is, you never know from deployment to deployment, even from gunfight to gunfight, how you're going to react. You know, at any point could be the time that you are unable to do it, or never. If you were showing every day that you want to remain part of the team and you are working as hard as you can, your leadership will see that, and they will help you get there. I truly believe that I served the Army best by standing up and admitting that I had a problem. And I'll never forget, my soldiers, they never, ever, ever gave up on me. And I still talk to them today, some of the guys that were on that vehicle with me. I think the important takeaway, the Army really did take care of me.